Welcome to Victory Sunday today. It's so good to see you here in worship. My name is David Hall, and I am one of the pastors here at Christ Church. I'm holding in my hand a couple of pages out of our note, our building contract, and you'll understand why I have that just in a minute. Today is Victory Sunday because on October 19th, we hit the button and made our last building loan payment. How about that? I want to recognize some people who are here with us today. About three-year campaigns ago, we decided, let's tithe all the money that comes in from all the money that comes into the building fund. Besides paying our payment, let's give 10% to some of our partner ministries. Hold your applause, but I'm going to ask a representative from each of these to stand. First, from Camp Lookout, Rebecca Ducote. She's on their board of directors. Just remain standing, Rebecca, if you would. From the Bethlehem Center, their executive director, Reggie Smith. And from Volunteers in Medicine Clinic, Joel Henderson. Now would you recognize them? Thank you all. And because we don't have a building fund to tithe from anymore, doesn't mean we won't be supporting you financially. One other person I want to recognize today. Steve Taylor is the vice president at First Horizon Bank. He has been our loan officer for so many years. We were trying to add him up this morning. And he has been so supportive, not to get him in trouble with First Horizon, but he's given us the best rates, the best terms his bank could give us. And Steve also walked us through, remember the PPP loan that turned into a grant, thanks to Steve and his help. Would you all recognize Steve? Stand, Steve. You know, two small churches merged in 1984, and in no time at all, they found this 32-acre dairy farm. It was the Wilson Farm, and they bought it for can you believe 32 acres for $700,000? But it was $700,000 they didn't have. And so a member of the church loaned the congregation the $700,000. They bought it. And then soon they took out another loan, and they built a multi-purpose building. And the next year, 1987, they built the children's building, at least the first two-thirds of that building. Becky and I came that next year, 1988, and I don't remember. We'd been here maybe 3 years, and we were really out of Sunday school space. So we decided we'll build an adult education building, a wing, just like that children's building. I don't remember what the role was, but I was in some leadership role, and I went to Kevin Sandage. Now, Kevin is a contractor, a member of the church, and he'd already built some of the buildings. And I said, Kevin, we want to build this. I told him exactly what we wanted. How much would you charge us to build this adult building? And Kevin said, give me a few days. He came back and said, David, I can build that for $100,000. In the meantime, I said, Kevin, I've been talking to some of my buddies in the church who can swing a hammer, and so we'd like to just be your labor force. If we volunteer and do all the labor, then how much would you charge us? He goes, well, instead of $100,000, I'd charge you $150,000. Pure Kevin. I understood that perfectly. So we went to our bank, First Tennessee, which was the forerunner of First Horizon, and we said, could we add $100,000 to the money we owe you? And they said, no. You owe us too much for us to do that. They said the most we would loan you is $50,000. Well, now we needed to raise the other 50, so we picked a Sunday. We were worshiping over in the Sancta Gym in those days, and we said, we already have your pledges, so come on that Sunday and bring cash, checks, and money order. We need money. I remember Becky and the kids and I walked up and dropped our check in the basket first, and when I turned around, it's like everybody was coming forward. Everybody was coming with checks and cash. I knew we were going to raise that $50,000. When we counted it that afternoon, it was $52,000. Yeah. We built that education building, and we just kept on building. An interesting thing would happen whenever you reached 80% of capacity on anything, 80% of the capacity of parking, of Sunday school space, of worship space, the growth would plateau. And so we would pay down a little more on the debt, and then we would build and borrow again. We have been blessed by having a vision that we want to reach more people for Jesus Christ. And there's a secret to how we've done it. We have done this together. It takes us all. We need each other. I think Nathan's going to preach on that today. And so we've been so blessed to get things done, and now God's blessed us by letting us pay off this debt, which lets us do more in ministry and in mission. When we signed this contract, this note, we owed $4.5 million, and that was scary. So now we're gonna destroy this thing. Would you all stand? I want you to help me to do this. Just stand up if you would, and hold out your hands like you're holding this contract with me. And when I count to 3, we're going to rip this thing up. 1, 2, 3. Rip. Yes. Yes.